How we doing? It's Living to Learn. Thank you for watching. Again, I really appreciate all the support that I've been getting lately. People that have subscribed, shared, liked, commented, and have donated financially to this channel. I, uh, I come to record with the intention of bringing content that's relevant, that's motivational, that is directed towards driving others toward their purpose, really revealing that purpose within them, helping them understand what that purpose is. And for some of us, it's just getting to the understanding and the realization that we actually have a purpose, that there's something in us that we may have not come across yet. And I love that part of it. I don't know if you would agree, but that mysterious unknown, right? That what if, what if there is something in me that's greater than what I've imagined? Something beyond my current capacity, something I haven't seen yet. Those are the things that intrigue me, and I believe that they help push me forward as well. And just to catch you up, if this is your first time watching this video, I'm in a process right now of changing. I'm in a season of moving forward, breaking out of what I used to think about myself. I am in the process of reinventing myself, and this has been, it's affected many areas of my life. In some areas of my life, I've been more successful in improving and growing than in others. And so, again, I'm not a perfect person. I'm not here because I've figured it all out. I don't know that you can ever arrive at a place like that where you've got it all figured out. But I call my channel Living to Learn because that's what life is. It's just an opportunity to learn, to grow. And it really is truly a gift. For those of you who've been watching lately, I've shared this openly with not many details, of course, because we all have a right to keep things private and personal, right? We don't have to share everything. But for those of you who have been following me for some time, I've mentioned these last few videos that I'm in a very difficult season in my life right now. Part of that is because of the changes that I am pursuing. But other things are, they come from outside. They're things out of my control that have taken place and that have put me in a tough place. And it's been really hard mentally. It's been really tough emotionally. And what I'm going to talk about today is it really resonates with what I'm actually dealing with and what I'm enduring myself at this moment. Earlier this week, I was driving somewhere and I got overwhelmed. I'll be honest with you. I got overwhelmed. My mind started kind of freaking out. I started getting anxious. I started getting worried. I started getting stressed out. I started thinking like, what about this? And how is this going to happen? What about that? How am I going to do this? I'm sure many of you can relate. But you know what? And this actually gave me a lot of encouragement. And I hope it encourages you as well. Because sometimes we're not sure how strong we've gotten, right? We're not sure how much we actually have improved. And the good thing about this moment, right? Because obviously it didn't feel good, right? It doesn't feel good to be in that state of mind. If you've been there, you know what I'm talking about. You know how that feels. What I did was I hit the pause button. And let me explain. All these thoughts were bombarding me, right? All these emotions were overcoming me, overwhelming me. And what I did was I just said, you know what? Hold on. And literally, like, in my mind, I'm like, hold on. A lot of these things, Josh, I'm talking to myself, right? I was like, a lot of these things, Josh, you can't control. You understand that concept, right? I understand that concept that there's few things I can control. None more than myself. And so in this instance, I decided to put that to practice. And what I started to do was I started to counter those thoughts with everything that was good in my life. I started to think about everything that I'm grateful for. I started to think about the things that mattered more to me, that meant more, and that had much more value than the things that I was worried about. Now, this is real life. I'm not telling a fairy tale. I'm not telling a story. It's not a movie. I'd be lying if I told you that instantly just made everything go away. Oh, it made everything better. No, not necessarily. But what it did was it helped me regain my focus. See, because even when things are bad, there's still good things that we can be grateful for and thankful for in life. Life is still a gift. The fact that I was experiencing that, as much as it sucked, as much as it wasn't a cool experience, guess what it meant? It meant that I was still alive. It meant that I was still breathing. I'm still here. We can't forget those things. We really have to practice that especially when it's hard. And this is a teaching season for me. This is a learning season for me. For me to really prove to myself, hey Josh, everything that you're talking about in these videos, man, do you really believe it? Have you really sold yourself on these things? Are you just talking or are you applying? Are you just saying it or are you being it? Because there's a big difference. It'd be easy for me to sit here and say all this stuff and try to make it look like, hey, wow, look at this guy. He's got it all together. I'm not going to do that to you. Social media will help you with that, right? Social media paints the picture for us, right? Everyone's perfect. Everything's perfect, right? Everyone's got a ton of money. Everyone's got a ton of time. And it messes with us. But I'm not here for that. I'm not here for that. I'm not here to gain popularity. If my message can help you, that's what it's about for me. Success for me is seeing someone else get better because of something that I've said or shown them. So I wanted to share that with you real quick before we get into the video. Sorry for the long introduction. I know, one of my subscribers kind of mentioned, hey man, your intro was kind of long in one of the videos, and so hey, forgive me, bro, but I just felt like I needed to share that. I needed to get that off my chest, and I hope that maybe that was for somebody who's listening. And if it was, great, take it and apply it, because I meant it for you. But let's get into this. We've been talking about the 6 phases of the change cycle. So far, we've gone through 4. Today, we're going to go through the 5th. And so let me just give you a quick reminder of what those are. So there's 6 phases to the change cycle. Right? And this is in regards to when we see something we want to change, we start to change, we try to change, and this is what happens. The first thing is we become discontent, right? Something in our life, something in anywhere in our life, right? Could be our health, could be our job, could be our relationship status, whatever. We're just discontent. Like, hey, I don't like this anymore. I need something different. And then we hit a breaking point. Breaking point is when you hit that spot, right? You just, hey, I can't take it anymore. I'm not going to put up with this. I'm done. I'm done feeling like this. I'm done seeing it happen this way. And from the breaking point comes the, hold on, let me get back in the book. Comes the decision, right? At this point, we've decided, all right, that's it. I'm moving forward. I'm going to apply for a new job. I'm going to redo my resume, right? I'm going to get out there in the market because I'm sick of this place. I don't want to be here anymore. Right? And again, apply this where it's applicable. That might be your job, might be something else. Once we've made that decision, we learned this last week. As soon as we make that decision, something in our mind, there's a natural reaction in our brain that automatically tells us, hey, change is dangerous. Like any type of change, it signals this alarm in our brain that starts to tell us that this is a bad thing. And we talked about that last week, how that fear it kicks in because, at the end of the day, our brain, our body wants to keep us safe. It wants to preserve itself. So it's going to kick in to gear a self-preservation mode. And with that comes a hyper awareness of an overwhelming fear that's really doesn't really apply because you're trying to change something in the positive, right? Like, committing to go to the gym or committing to read more or committing to write to work on your first rough draft of your novel is a good thing, right? It's a good thing, but because it's different, because it's out of your ordinary routine, because it's going to require a shift. It's going to require a change, which is uncomfortable. Our brain's going to react a certain way, and our body follows, right? It's like and I mentioned this last week. It's like there's two of me in me. There's the me that is aware that something needs to change, and that I want to change it, and that it is a good thing. And then there's the other part of me that's saying, no, it's not a good thing. We need to go back to what we know. We need to get comfortable. That's safety. That's pleasant, right? And again, I said last week, comfort is addicting. It's addicting. And because it doesn't require much. We're just, we're there. And it's so powerful. And some of you understand this on a much higher level than I ever will, because some of us have remained in absolutely just the worst conditions. We've put ourselves through terrible things because we're afraid to change. Because as bad as that thing is, it's also familiar. And so this is a tough thing. And that's why I'm making this video. That's why I've made this series, because I want to be able to walk us through this. And I'm also going through it. And today is probably this one we're going to talk, the fifth change phase of the cycle, right? So let me just give the breakdown real quick of all 6 phases. So you've got discontentment. Discontentment leads to a breakthrough. Breakthrough leads to a decision. Number 4, the decision sparks up fear in our mind. And then the 5th one we're talking about today, the fear causes us to have amnesia. Amnesia means you forgot. You forget. All of a sudden, you just forget out of nowhere. And then after amnesia, we start to backtrack. What we don't want to do is we don't want to follow the change cycle. We want to break it. See, when it comes to phase 3, which is the decision part, we've got to choose which way to go. And then whatever direction we choose, we got to stick with it. So today I'm talking about amnesia. What happens when we become so fearful that we forget, right? And if you notice the title of my video, when your brain, right, our brain forgets the pain. And that's actually from the book. And again, Act Now, co-written by my business coach, Regine Corona, along with Dr. Natalie Phillips. That's where I'm getting this information from, this material. I'm going to read some more from page 134 directly out of the book. And this is what happens, right? We get the change sparks fear, right? And so with the fear comes this. You start to assess all that is connected to the change, right? You start to overthink. The physical, mental, and emotional, and almost inevitably, more pain is perceived to be associated with the change than pleasure. Did you hear that? I'm going to read it again. Almost inevitably, more pain is perceived to be associated with the change than pleasure. Right? So our mind starts to tell us, as we start to overthink and we start to overanalyze, hey, actually that change that you want to make is going to be much worse than what you have right now. And we know that's a lie. We know that's not true, because what did we want to change in the first place? Which leads me to what we're going to talk about today. This is what it means. You're more fearful of what the change will bring than you are committed to the outcome that the change will bring. So the fear is outweighing that commitment. And if this fear overrules and the lizard brain has its way, you will move into the next phase, which is amnesia. As a coping mechanism, the brain allows itself to forget the pain that led to the breaking point. It doesn't want to confront the pain or discomfort of change, and it blocks out what you wanted to change in the first place, or at least it blocks out the strong desire for change. Now, I can relate to that 100%, and I'm sure many of you can. Right? We get inspired, we get excited. Hey, I'm going to do this. I'm going to change. I'm not going to do this thing, right? I'm going to stop this bad habit. And then later on, as it gets closer to that normal time where you do your normal thing, you start to forget. It starts to hurt more, the thought of quitting, or the thought of refraining, or the thought of not doing that anymore. Or the thought of replacing that with something better, something that's going to be more beneficial, something that's going to actually be useful and productive in your life. We start to get afraid, and it starts to actually hurt more, the thought of changing that. And we forget. We get amnesia. We forget why we wanted to change in the first. We forgot that initial pain that caused the breakthrough, right? Because we were sick and tired of being sick and tired. That hasn't changed. What's changed is our perception of what's going on. And so I want to show you what to do. And I'm talking to myself as well. This is what we should do when our brain wants us to forget that initial pain. We have to bombard our mind with that why. And I kind of talked about this last week as well, but it's almost like the same element, right? Because no matter what, if you succumb to the fear, you get amnesia, right? You forget the pain of what initially caused you to change in the first place. And then you start to backtrack. The only way you're going to get out of that, the only way you're going to get out of that part of the change cycle is by overwhelming that pain with your commitment, right? So you start going back to what you committed to. Wait, listen, this is the reason why I want to stop doing that. This is the reason why I need to quit doing that. This is the reason why, right? And you start to tell yourself, you know what? I'm sick and tired of this, and this. And if you got to write it down, please do. I think writing things down is powerful because it gives us two areas, right? Our brain sees it. With the action of writing, we're thinking, right? It just does something to you, right? And then you can actually read those things out loud. I'm a fan of affirmations. I think the more that we tell ourselves things, the more that we think on things, the more we become that, right? I believe in that. And so we've got to bombard our mind with the why. Like, hey, listen, I can't forget this. I can't forget the pain that caused me to get here in the first place. There's a reason why I wanted to change. There's a reason why I wanted to do something different. I need to do something different. I need to stop doing X, Y, Z. I need to start doing X, Y, Z, whatever it might be. Now, shout out to one of my friends, Dr. Charles Dorsey. He offers a workshop on goal setting, right? How to accomplish goals. He gives you step-by-step instructions how to set goals and how to accomplish them. And there's a number of exercises that he incorporates to really just kind of ground us into what it's going to take to accomplish that. And so things like that are a smart way to combat this amnesia, right? You don't want to forget. Because once you forget, it's not that intense anymore, right? Like yesterday when you made that decision to change, well, now you've forgotten. And so it's kind of like, well, maybe I didn't want to change, or yeah, you know what, maybe it's not that bad, right? We start to talk ourselves out of it. Been there, done that. Let me be honest. Let me be even more honest with you. In certain areas of my life, I'm there and doing that, right? And I've been there. I am there. Okay, I'm a work in progress, right? I'm under construction. And so I understand. But what I want you to understand, what the new information for me is, right after reading this book, what the new information for me has been, is that this is actually a natural occurrence that happens. And so as I said in my last video, if we're prepared for it, we can do something about it. Because it's going to be easy to forget. Once the pain of that change, right, it starts to confront us like, man, do you really want to do this? It's going to hurt to not do that anymore. It's going to hurt to start doing that. You're going to have to do this now, and you're going to have to commit to this. And we just start overwhelming ourselves. We start to overthink. It's going to happen. Like this happens. This happens to everyone. And again, sometimes we sit back, we see these people that are just doing amazing things. They're living lives that we want to live, right? They're doing things that we want to do. And we seem to just think, well, they're just gifted. They just have it. And you know what? To a point, there's always going to be someone better, right? I said this in one of my last videos. There's always going to be someone better, all right? But there will never be another you. And the difference between you and that person is what they did during this change cycle. That's it. That's it. So be encouraged by that. Because we all have that ability. We have the ability to forget and go back and not make the change. Or we have the ability to move forward, to push through that. to ensure that we don't forget, right? I've got it written down here, right? I signed up for this workshop. I'm going to be setting goals. I'm doing my due diligence. I'm looking into different ways that I can help myself. If I got to set 3 alarms so that I can start getting up at 4 a.m. now so that I can get this done, that's what I got to do. You know, you look at other people's stories, you seek other people for advice, right? Hey, what did you do? If you have someone, if you're fortunate like myself, I have a circle of wisdom that I can go to and I can take from. Hey, what did you do? Give me a time where you encountered this, where you were trying to do something different. You were trying to change. You were trying to make a change, and it was difficult. How did you get past that? How did you refuse to forget why you were trying to do this in the first place? And then you take that, right? And we've got to ask. We've got to seek counsel, mentorship, right? People that we can confide in. And if you don't have anyone, let me be that person. Let me be that person. Let this channel, right? I'll be coming up with the landing page soon. You see my Instagram there, at Live to Learn Coaching. I always put it in the description. I don't mind a DM. Hey, Josh, what about this, right? Obviously, if it's going to be a recurring thing, we're going to need to set something up, right? I mean, I give away for free what I do on this channel, but there is a value to my coaching abilities. There is a value to my mentorship. With that being said, don't let that be an excuse that you don't have anyone to talk to about these things. But we got to do what we got to do. At the end of the day, it's up to us, right? So let's not forget why we wanted to make the change in the first place. And let's do what we need to do to ensure that. And I've given you some tips. I've given you some things that I would try, that I'd want to do. If you have anything that you think works or has worked for you, feel free to put it in the comments, right? I'm looking for all the input possible. And so, again, thank you so much for watching. Appreciate all of you. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to share, like, comment, and donate financially if it's possible. But, just your support means a lot to me. So thank you, and see you next time.